When it comes to planting food plots, a lot of people get intimidated and make it a lot harder than it really is. Actually, soybeans are one of the easiest food plot crops to grow. Just start by simply going to your plot and spraying all the weeds and grasses that are there with a herbicide such as glyphosate to kill all that vegetation. If it's a plot that's already been established where you've had some issues with glyphosate resistant weeds, that's becoming an issue with certain weeds such as mare's tail and water hemp. If that's an issue, you may want to add a residual herbicide at the same time you're spraying the glyphosate. A good residual herbicide that we've found is Authority XL. You just mix by the label a few ounces of that per acre in with the glyphosate, spray it, let that vegetation die down, and a couple weeks later you can come back and work that ground up and soon be ready to plant. It's very important that you not plant your soybeans too early. If you do, the soybeans can rot, you'll get poor germination. You want to wait till the soil temperature is consistently at about 60 degrees. And at that point you can plant them and be fine. There's really no set date. Some years, you have an earlier spring where that 60-degree temperature will be reached earlier than it will others. So just kind of keep an eye on that. Another thing you can do is if soybeans are grown by the farmers in your area, just keep an eye on them. When you see them planting soybeans, wait about a week or so and then go plant yours.
When you're planting your beans, there are several different methods you can use. You can use a drill or a planter and sometimes even broadcast them. When using a drill or planter, make sure you're only planting about a ½ inch to an inch depth into the soil. And then also if you're broadcasting, when you broadcast your seed on the ground, it's always nice if you can use a cultipacker or a yard roller and do what's called setting that seed. It just pushes the seed into the ground and it gives it a place for that root attached to the soil so you have a better germination. It's better to have your seed too shallow or broadcasted on top than too deep. I know in the past a lot of guys have talked to me about putting beans on and then disking them in. And the problem with that is once you disc a bean seed down to the depth of 2 or 3 inches and then you get a good hard rain, your soil crust over, then there's a process called where the bean breaks its neck. As the seed's trying to lift up out of the ground, it comes up, as the seed splits, it comes out into 2 leaves and bends the neck of it up. And as that process happens, if you have it too deep, the bean breaks its neck and the bean plant dies. So if you have it on top of the ground, it's a lot easier for that bean seed to get the first two leaves up out of the ground and reach up and keep growing. Another thing that'll happen is both the turkeys and geese like to eat on the young tender sprouts as they come up through the ground. So if you're broadcasting, you might want to add a little bit heavier, or even drilling or planting in an area where there are a lot of turkeys and geese, you might want to add a little extra seed to that area. If you're thinking about planting beans, a lot of times you're going to ask a question, what kind of fertilizer should I put on for the beans? And here's one thing I tell everybody, a soil test is a cheap way to find out what's in your soil, and nobody can really ever tell you what your soil needs until you have a test done. It's actually anywhere from a $5 to $10 or $15 project that costs you just taking a bag, adding a little bit of soil to it from your plot, sending it in, letting them analyze your soil and add exactly what you need. Beans do use potash and need potash to grow, but your soil needs to be at a neutral position. A lot of people know you need to add lime. Well, that lime you're adding is actually making your soil neutral. And your neutral means your pH needs to be around a 6.5 to about a 7.2. 7 would be considered a neutral soil. And you say, what's a neutral soil? Neutral soil is when you have vitamins, magnesium, zinc, potash, phosphate, a lot of nutrients in the soil that the plant needs. But if your pH is too low, then your plants can't use all of them. If your pH is too high, then it can't use all of them. So having a neutral soil is key to your plants being able to use all the nutrients in there so that each plant can reach its maximum potential and produce as much grain, as much foliage as it can for you. When you get your soil test back, we recommend you contact your fertilizer suppliers. They can help you with the fertilizer application you need.
Once you've planted your soybeans, they should germinate in 7 to 10 days. And as they germinate, you're also going to get a crop of weeds that germinate right along with them. Let that crop of weeds and soybeans grow to about 6 to 8 inches tall, and then you can drive over with your sprayer, spray glyphosate right over the top of the soybeans and the weeds. This will kill the weeds but not hurt the soybeans at all.